country after Saudi Arabia. Good relations with UAE serves as a gateway for India into the Islamic world, and it also counters China's growing influence in the Middle East. UAE's Emir actually will be constructing a huge mall worth rupees 250 crores in Kashmir, which was a big sign of faith in the Kashmir policy and development of the Narendra Modi administration against what certain Islamic countries may say what their position on Kashmir may be. The visit also comes at a time when the state, remember, is hosting the 10th edition of the Vibrant Gujarat Summit. Take a look at some other notable names that are going to be in attendance. Of course, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of UAE, is headlining this event. Peter Fiala is Prime Minister of Czech Republic, who will also be in attendance. Mozambique's President Filipe Nyusi, Timor-Leste's President Jose Ramos Horta. Over 50 global CEOs from semiconductor, aerospace, defense sectors will also be present for the event. The big question and the big focus today on the show is simply this. Vibrant Gujarat Summit being the occasion when the UAE President is in India one more time. Is this relationship, the India-UAE relationship, a bridge over divisions?
Hello, Moto.
Let me go across to our guest joining us. Ashok Sajjanhar is former Indian diplomat with us. Atikur Rahman, Islamic scholar, also with us. Asif Ramiz Daudi is a Middle East expert, and Pathikrit Pine is strategic affairs expert, all joining us on the show. Our political affairs editor, Aman Sharma, will also be with me in just a bit. Ashok Sajjanhar, not very usual, although it has happened in Narendra Modi's tenure as Prime Minister, but still quite unique to have a foreign dignitary, foreign head of state participate in a roadshow, which is a very Indian-like activity associated with elections. How do you see this roadshow that Mohammed bin Zayed is participating in today?
Yeah, thank you very much, Shivani, for having me on your show. You are very right. I think it's not a very usual thing. But you would recall that when the former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, was here, he'd also sort of, been treated. He was also treated to an 8-kilometer long road show. And both Shinzo Abe and his wife, they had changed into an Indian attire, what is known as the Modi jacket. And, they were waving fervently to the crowds, and to the dancers who were performing there. So it is something unusual. But then these are unusual visitors, meaning it's not very often that the Prime Minister goes to the airport to receive his guests.
Yes.
He reserves that honor for very, very special and important people, whether it was Obama or it was Donald Trump or Sheikh Hasina or, even the President of UAE, who was at that time the Crown Prince when he had come as the chief guest to India's Republic Day.
So why do you think he's doing this for the UAE President today?
I think you said it yourself, Shivani. UAE is very, very special. Before that, when Prime Minister Modi visited UAE on the 16th and 17th of August 2015, if my memory serves me correctly, and that was after more than 3 decades of the last visit. Because we had really, for all this period, given up on the Gulf area, given up on the Middle East, thinking that they were always sort of, looking at the relations with India through the prism of Pakistan, through the prism of Islam. But Prime Minister Modi has turned all that on its head. And as you said very rightly, he has been there already 5 times. It is he's been awarded the highest award by the UAE. Not only UAE, it is also Saudi Arabia, it's also Bahrain. But I think UAE is particularly special because, they have also suggested they have offered $75 billion of investment in India. And India is looking forward to, it's the Amrit Kal period, the growth. And you mentioned about the proposed investment in Srinagar, it is this big MR mall that is going to take place. We signed the SEPA, the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, last year, which is, already yielding results, is the fastest bilateral FTA that India has signed with any country.
Yeah.
During the G20, we signed the IMEC, the India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor.
But
So,
is it really only about trade, or is it about more? Let me just open this up for the rest of our panelists as well. Let me go across to Asif Ramiz Daudi, the Indian Prime Minister receiving the UAE President at the airport, both of them participating in a 3-kilometer roadshow. This is a headline statement. This is a statement in itself that India and UAE are making to the world. What do you think is the message for the Middle East?
Well, Shivani, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Can you hear me? Yeah. The message, and it's something like if you have a vision, you can create history. And the history is being created. As simple as that. Because what we see here in this region, when you have the visiting your country on these occasions, usually we think about the Republic Day celebration or Independence Day, etc. But even a vibrant Gujarat and something of this sort, it becomes something of such a big platform where you invite one of the strongest pillars and leaders of Middle Eastern countries, and he himself goes for the roadshow. It speaks volumes about the relation. The world should understand that if you have a proper diplomatic, set of foreign policies, and for this I have to, on your channel, I have to appreciate, I have to accept the fact that the leader is there, leadership is there, but one thing which I personally feel, being in this region, that the foreign minister, Dr. Jaishankar, he has such a brilliant policy that we can see that how things have changed. We can see the kind of relations with this region. You talk about the UAE, you talk about Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, even Egypt, everywhere. Okay. And they are welcoming India like anything, and they wish to go there, they wish to have trade, business. You think about the kind of diaspora that we have here. It's more than 35 million, lakhs there in 3.5 million in the UAE, 3 million, almost 3 million in Saudi Arabia. So it tells you a lot about this. And today, when the president is there, although the history was there, for example, if you go back to 1970s, from 72, there were visits, high-profile visits, but especially in this particular time, when you think about Prime Minister of a country visiting UAE 6 times, what does it say? It means that we believe that we have to work on this and we have to make the relationship even stronger.
Okay. Are the rest of the Middle Eastern countries also receiving the same message? I'll take that to Pathikrit Pine in just a bit. But Aman, I want to come to you also because, this is an election year. There is an undertone of religious conflict or religious relationship in context of India or the Middle East. You look at the world at large, at all times, there is this Israel, Palestine conflict going on just as we speak. What do you think would be the message going out from India's point of view, giving this reception and the UAE president participating wholeheartedly in a roadshow with the Prime Minister? And what is the message that UAE wants to give to the rest of the Islamic world?
Well, clearly, Shivani, see, Mr. Modi, if you see his history, if you see over the years, Mr. Modi has always believed in changing the rules of the game. When in 2015, Mr. Modi became the first Prime Minister of India after over 30 years to visit UAE for the first time. And some of our panelists are saying he's visited 6 times already. Yes. The UAE president is now presently on his 4th visit to India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, I remember when he's gone abroad, he's made a stopover in UAE many times. So these are also signals that, we value the Middle East, we value UAE as a partner. Prime Minister Modi was just last month for the COP in Dubai. Next month he's going for the inauguration of the new temple in Abu Dhabi. So all these are major steps, by India to show that, look, the West may say some things about India and elections are coming, but when it comes to the acceptance of Narendra Modi as a leader across the world, also the Islamic world, it is unprecedented, and especially him coming to Gujarat. This roadshow, earlier I remember Prime Minister Narendra Modi hosting the former Japanese Prime Minister for a roadshow like this, and Mr. Trump, of course, came to Gujarat. So all these are messaging that, look, the acceptability of Mr. Modi as a world leader is now very, very clear.
And as a leader who's fair, right? Who's fair to India's minority. Sabka saath, sabka vikas.
Absolutely. And this is also happening, Shivani, at a time when we're seeing what happened with Maldives,
Yes.
at a time. So this is also an answer to that look, India as a Prime Minister of Narendra Modi, world leaders want to come here, meet him, even and, go to Gujarat and hold this big roadshow. Vibrant Gujarat, of course, is the signature project of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Also, I think a big thing for Mr. Narendra Modi for the UAE President to come for the Vibrant Gujarat project. This is something that, his brainchild in 2003, perhaps the first time an Indian state went for a international business summit, which many other states in fact have copied, the successful model. So I think that is the whole big messaging that Prime Minister Modi is trying to give here by the UAE President participating in the same, he's went to the airport to receive him. They're traveling in the same car, I believe, during this roadshow. So all these are very, very interesting signals, and this goes across the world. The messaging goes across the world about this.
Pathikrit, do you believe it blunts the attack not just on Narendra Modi as the Prime Minister, but also India under Narendra Modi, that it is unsafe for minorities or somehow it is quashing the voice of Indian Muslims particularly? Do you think the way UAE deals with India today blunts that attack, or are these two things to be seen separately?
Shivani, first of all, President Zayed would not have agreed to this roadshow if there was an iota of doubt in his mind about PM Modi's Kashmir policy, about his secularism, and about the continuity of Prime Minister Modi after 2024 election. That is something I strongly believe in. Number two, if you look at whether it is Prince Salman, Mohammed bin Salman, or whether it is President Zayed, they have always been so much supportive of Prime Minister Modi that they have never bothered about what some of the elements based on their vote bank politics have been saying.
But why is that? Pathikrit, why is that? Just decode that. Why don't they fall for the narrative that sometimes also comes from the Islamic world? I mean, it would be an overstatement to say that all Middle Eastern countries look at India the same way as UAE does.
Well, Shivani, there's a tug of war which goes on in Middle East also among many of the Islamic countries. It's not that they are cohesive in every way. There is a tug of war between UAE and Qatar. There's a tug of, and many of these countries have seen the double standards of Pakistan and also of the West. So just as we do not believe anymore the Western press, the same is with the West, the Middle East. They don't care about what the West says. Let me tell you, for a long time, these Arab oil-rich monarchs were expected by the West that you would be protected only by the West, led by America, and you have to go to their foreign policy. That is the thing that they want to come out of also. UAE was the first country which was looking for a non-fossil fuel economy, and they were looking for a partner who would not impose anything on them. India was one such country, led by Prime Minister Modi. What has Prime Minister Modi done since 2014? He has transformed the typical classical stiff upper lip diplomacy, and I mean no disrespect to that, but he has transformed the typical stiff upper lip diplomacy with personal camaraderie. And that camaraderie with very powerful heads of states actually plays a very, very critical role. Otherwise, you would not have seen this happening. Let me tell you, there's another thing. The sovereign fund of United Arab Emirates is $1.5 trillion. Where will they invest? They can't invest in Europe, which is saturated and is in a recession. They are looking to invest that in India. They have already pledged $50 billion for the next 2 years. They have already invested $10 billion in the last 5 years. They have invested in India's strategic petroleum reserve, and they support India's global south push. They are sick and tired of the Western, these institutions doing exactly what the West says in terms of sanctions, in terms of many other things. So I think in Prime Minister Modi, they're looking for an alternative. And most importantly, India has always made sure that your internal issues are your internal issues. So just as India never interferes in the internal issues of Middle Eastern countries, which Western press has done with impunity, likewise. And let me tell you, Shivani, the Western world tried the Arab Spring, something they have been completely devastated and disgusted with, something which was tried in India as well. So there are areas of convergence they find with Prime Minister Modi, and that is why they are going ahead.
Okay, I want to bring in Atikur Rahman as well. He's an Islamic scholar. He obviously, keeps a tab and debates many issues that flare up in India from time to time, particularly from a religious lens. Atikur Rahman, what do you think? What is the message that Indian Muslims will also get if at all, from this visit? Would it matter to them that such a big, successful Islamic country like the UAE looks at India as a partner and, unlike certain other Islamic countries, does not want to use the religious or Islamic prism to deal with India? It recognizes India for what it is. They are who they are.
Well, Shivani, these moments are moments of pride for the people of India. And of course, the credit goes to the Prime Minister of India that he is having very, very good relations, sound relations with the Arab nations, especially if you mention they are Islamic nations. Now, I would rather say that you said that I should get a message from UAE. I would rather say that India should get a message from UAE that they do not mix up religion with state affairs. For UAE and the Arab nations, and for me, myself also, religion is a dogma which the Indian Prime Minister and the cohorts of the ruling regime never, endorse it. Religion should be treated as a dogma, never to be mixed up with state affairs. That's what UAE and the Arab nations have always done. There is pork, there is beef, and there is all the halal and the non-halal meats sold in UAE and all the Arab markets and their malls. Wherein what does the Indian government does? In UP there is a ban on the sale of meat products. Halal meat is banned, which the Supreme Court the other day called for explanation from the UP government. So these are the affairs wherein this lets down the people of India that we were the people who taught secular credentials to the world, and now we are learning the same thing from the Arab nations. The Islamic nations, second important point, Shivani, is these are the same Arab sheikhs. When they fund our Indian madrasas, you and the BJP people say that that is being utilized for terrorist purposes.
Well, that is why I made a distinction between
scholars. Let me complete, Shivani.
No, one second. You are quoting me, but you are quoting me absolutely out of context, first of all, and wrongly.
Okay, maybe I am wrong to quoting you.
Yeah, I have just now on the show said that not all Islamic or Middle Eastern countries look at India the same way. Not
Fine,
all
the
of their
BJP
policies
people
is the same towards India. But you may continue.
Shivani, the BJP people, I mean to say. Another important point is the same UAE and the Arab scholars, they went addressed to us that there is nothing common with Hafiz Saeed like terrorism and Quran and the Prophet. We do not endorse Hafiz Saeed, but day in and day out, Quran, the RSS people, Quran and Prophet Muhammad is equated with terrorism. So we need to learn many things from the Arab nations.
No. I think you're confusing. One second. You're confusing politics on Islam or Islamic politics with religion.
No, in fact, I said.
One second. Can I just say two things? You brought up meat ban, and I think you particularly mean beef ban. First of all, beef ban has existed since times of independence in India, mostly under Congress rule. It has nothing to do with the BJP. The BJP didn't exist at that time. But yes, not killing cows and not eating beef is a fundamental aspect of the Hindu right. I'm not denying that. You mentioned, why should we learn from we are told to learn from the other countries, but we are more secular. Can I just remind you of the latest hijab controversy, for example, in secular state schools? And that is when a lot of the examples of Middle Eastern countries, other Islamic countries were brought up to say that even they don't allow this. Look at triple talaq. What was the debate around triple talaq? Triple talaq, the practice banned in most Islamic countries, was being defended by Islamists in India, I would say, not by Muslims alone. So you're confusing what is faith with what is politics associated with religion.
No, may I answer this, Shivani?
Yeah.
Shivani, you need to take the fact into account that UAE and the Arab nations are majority Muslim states. That's why they do not take hijab that seriously as the minority Muslims of the Asian nations take it. since you make the minorities in India insecure, the women go for hijab or covering of their faces and their heads. That's what we pinpoint the argument. You make the environment safe and see how our women will be throwing off the hijab.
I think that's a rather...
The majority of Muslim states...
No, I'm sorry, that's a rather controversial argument to make. And I must say, I'm hearing this for the first time, that because the safety environment is bad, therefore for minorities there should be separate rights. But you just hailed Indian secularism, that it is supposed to be better, and Indian Muslims were the vanguards of secularism. But when it comes to hijab, somehow they need greater protections than all other Muslims all around the world. And I don't think it is about safety. Look at what's happened under Taliban in Afghanistan. Young girls, as young as 4-year-olds, are being beaten to wear hijab. Now, it's an Islamic country under the rule of an Islamic government. I wonder what is the security issue there. So let's not fool ourselves. This is exactly the point. I think Patrick wanted to come here. This is exactly the point. You know, religious politics or politics, Islamist politics has become this, you know, this whole sphere where sometimes you cannot argue with it with logic. If somebody wants to say India is intolerant, that minorities don't have their space today in India for the last 10 years, there's no disproving it because people don't want to change their minds.
Let me correct one thing, Shivani. You know, the UP ban is on non-meat halal products, not on meat. So,
and the ban on slaughterhouses was also on illegal slaughterhouses. I don't understand how illegality can be defended on a matter of faith. I don't understand it. Anyways, go ahead.
Let me tell you, I have been to Turkey in a transit. I have met a lot of Syrians before the war. I find those countries extremely modern. You know, Iraq has been very modern.